The night was quiet and calm, with a cool breeze flowing over the fields. The moonlight bathed the land in a soft glow, making the wheat shimmer like silver. Oren, an old farmer, moved slowly along the edge of his fields. His back was slightly bent from years of hard work, but his steps were steady and firm. His hands were rough and calloused, yet strong. Even in his late years, Oren was known among the townsfolk for his unmatched strength and clever mind. Many young men could not keep up with the tasks he performed daily. That evening, Oren had been restless. He had finished his work early, but something in the air felt different. The animals were uneasy. His old dog kept barking toward the forest, and the cows shifted nervously in their pens. Oren grabbed his sturdy wooden staff and decided to take a walk to check on his land. He believed in always keeping a watchful eye on the place he had built with his own hands. As he walked, Oren noticed the night was unusually silent. The crickets had stopped singing, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Suddenly, a bright light streaked across the sky. At first, Oren thought it was a shooting star, but the light did not fade. Instead, it grew larger and brighter, moving in strange patterns. It dipped and swirled before descending toward the forest at the far end of his property. A loud humming sound filled the air, followed by a deep thud that shook the ground beneath his feet. Oren stopped in his tracks, gripping his staff tightly. His first thought was that a small plane had crashed. People sometimes flew over this area, and the forest was thick enough to hide wreckage. Without hesitation, Oren started running toward the light. His old legs carried him swiftly, driven by concern and curiosity. Despite his age, he moved with surprising speed, jumping over logs and weaving through bushes like a man half his age. When he reached the forest, Oren slowed his pace and moved carefully. The trees stood tall and dark around him, their branches creaking in the faint breeze. The smell of smoke and something unfamiliar filled the air. As he pushed through a dense thicket, he saw a glow ahead. He crouched low and crept closer, his sharp eyes scanning for danger. There, in a small clearing, stood something Oren had never seen before. A craft rested on the forest floor, its surface smooth and metallic with glowing blue lines that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. It was no plane. It had no wings, no propellers, and no visible doors. The hum he had heard earlier came from the strange machine. Oren's breath caught in his throat. As he watched, a section of the craft shifted, opening silently like liquid metal. A figure stepped out. The being was tall and slender, with a slightly elongated head and large, reflective eyes. Its skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight, showing shades of silver and pale blue. It moved gracefully, almost floating as it walked. Oren's heart pounded, but he did not run. Instead, he stood tall, gripping his staff firmly. He had faced wild animals and fierce storms before. Whatever this creature was, Oren would not show fear. The figure turned and noticed him. It paused, tilting its head as if studying him. A small device on its chest emitted a series of clicking sounds before a calm, mechanical voice spoke in Oren's language. "Do not be afraid. I mean no harm," the voice said. Oren narrowed his eyes. "Who are you, and what is this place you've brought into my forest?" The being raised its hand slowly, a gesture of peace. "My name is Varug. I am a biologist from a distant world. I travel across the galaxy studying life. Your planet is one of my current research sites." Oren blinked. The words were clear, yet the situation felt unreal. "A biologist, you say? You study animals and plants? Why come here, to my land, in the middle of the night?" Varro tilted his head again, seeming fascinated by Oren's steady voice. I did not choose this exact spot. My craft malfunctioned, and I needed a safe place to land. I detected advanced life nearby and approached cautiously. Varro's eyes glimmered with curiosity. But now that I see you, I am amazed. Amazed. At me? Oren asked, raising one eyebrow. I'm just an old farmer. There's nothing special here. Varro stepped closer, scanning Oren with a small handheld device. A gentle light passed over Oren's body from head to toe. The device emitted a series of beeps, and Varro's expression changed to surprise. Incredible, Varro said softly. Despite your advanced age, your body is strong. Your bones, muscles, and reflexes are extraordinary for a species at this stage of evolution. And your mind? I can sense remarkable adaptability and resilience. Varro's voice grew excited. You are unlike anything I have studied before. Oren crossed his arms. I've lived a long, hard life. Work keeps a man strong, and wisdom comes with years. That's nothing strange. Varro shook his head. On most worlds I've visited, species grow weaker as they age. Their strength fades completely, and their ability to survive diminishes greatly. But you, even in your later years, you are capable of so much. This is unique. Oren studied the alien carefully. Though Varro looked strange, there was no malice in his tone. So, you came here to study life, and now you've found me. What exactly do you plan to do, Varro? Varro placed his hand over his chest, a gesture of sincerity. I seek only to learn. I will not harm you or your people. I wish to understand how your kind has become so strong and adaptable. The old farmer considered this. His life had taught him to be cautious, but also open-minded. If you mean no harm, then I'll listen. But I won't allow you to take anything from me or my land. Agreed, Varro said with a nod. May I ask you questions about your life and observe your daily work? I believe I can learn much from you. Oren thought for a moment, then nodded. Fine. But first, I need to know more about who you are and why you travel so far just to study life. Varro smiled faintly, though his alien features made the expression subtle. My people have explored many worlds. We believe that every form of life has value and can teach us something. By studying different species, we understand the universe better. When I landed here, I expected to find simple creatures. Instead, I found you. Oren chuckled softly. I suppose I should be honored. All right, Varro. Come with me, and I'll show you how humans live. As they walked back toward Oren's farmhouse, Varro's glowing eyes scanned everything with fascination. He asked about the crops, the soil, and the tools Oren used. Oren explained each thing patiently, as if teaching a curious child. Varro listened intently, recording every word. Along the way, Oren shared stories from his life. He spoke of harsh winters, floods, and droughts he had survived. He told of raising children, teaching them to work hard and care for one another. Varro was amazed by the idea of humans passing knowledge through generations, ensuring each new group was stronger and wiser than the last. By the time they reached the farmhouse, Varro's excitement was clear. He turned to Oren and said, "You are not just a farmer. You are living proof that your species is special. Your body and mind carry strength that few beings in the galaxy possess." Oren shrugged. I'm just doing what needs to be done to keep my family alive and my land thriving. That's what humans do. Varro's voice grew serious. I must study this more. If others learn what I have discovered tonight, it could change how the galaxy sees your kind. Oren frowned slightly. Others? Who exactly are you talking about? Varu hesitated, then replied, the Galactic Council. They oversee exploration and research. If they hear of your strength, they might become interested in ways that are not peaceful. The old farmer tightened his grip on his staff. He had faced many challenges in his life, but this was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing: he would protect his home and his people, no matter the cost. The sun rose slowly over the fields, painting the sky with shades of orange and gold. Oren stood on his porch, leaning on his sturdy wooden staff. His eyes scanned the horizon as he breathed in the cool morning air. A new day had begun, but it was unlike any day he had ever known. Somewhere in the forest behind his farm, a strange metallic craft sat hidden beneath the trees, and inside that craft waited Varu, a visitor from the stars. Oren had hardly slept the night before. His mind was filled with questions. Who was Varu really? What did he truly want? And what would happen if others, humans or aliens, discovered what lay in that forest? Despite his worry, Oren went about his chores as usual. The animals needed feeding, the fences needed checking, and the fields required care. Work was what kept him steady, even when the world seemed to tilt in strange new ways. By the time he finished his morning tasks, the sun was high, and Varu appeared at the edge of the forest. The alien moved with smooth, graceful steps, almost gliding over the ground. Oren noticed how quietly Varu walked, as if the earth barely felt his presence. Varu's large reflective eyes studied everything with curiosity. You work with great skill, Varu said, his voice calm and clear through the small translating device on his chest. I have been observing you since dawn. Your movements are efficient and precise. It is remarkable for a being of your age. Oren gave a small grunt, not sure whether to take that as praise or surprise. I've been doing this my whole life. When you've done the same work for decades, your body knows what to do without thinking. Varu's gaze lingered on Oren's hands, rough and calloused from years of labor. Fascinating. On most worlds I have studied, individuals of advanced age cannot perform such demanding physical tasks. They slow down greatly, and their strength fades beyond recovery. Yet you continue to thrive. Oren shrugged. Hard work keeps a man strong. And I don't just work for myself. I work so my children and grandchildren have a better life. That's reason enough to keep going. Varu tilted his head slightly, clearly intrigued by this idea. You speak of passing on what you have built to the next generation. Is this common among your kind? Of course, Oren said firmly. It's the way of things. Each generation teaches the next. My father taught me how to plant, harvest, hunt, and survive. I taught my own children the same. That's how humans endure. Varu's eyes glimmered with excitement. That is extraordinary. Knowledge and skill being passed directly from one individual to another, improving with each cycle. Many species lack such a method. They rely only on instinct or simple repetition. Your way allows rapid progress and adaptation. Oren chuckled. That's why humans are always building, always changing. We learn, we teach, and then the next group does it better. Varu seemed deeply moved by this explanation. I must study this more. Would you allow me to observe you throughout the day? I wish to see how you work and how you solve challenges. Oren nodded after a moment's thought. As long as you don't disturb the land or the animals, you can watch. And so began a strange partnership. Oren went about his day as usual, tending his crops, repairing fences, and handling the countless tasks that came with running a farm. Varu followed quietly, recording everything with his advanced tools. The alien's device floated beside him, scanning the soil, plants, and even the tools Oren used. As Oren worked, Varu asked questions. Why do you choose to plant these particular crops here and others there? Oren explained patiently, showing how the soil's moisture and sunlight affected different plants. He demonstrated how to tell when an animal was sick by reading subtle signs in its behavior. Varu listened intently, his alien mind absorbing every detail. When Oren repaired a broken water pump, Varu was especially fascinated. You are using simple tools, yet you solve complex problems with them, Varu observed. Oren wiped sweat from his brow. You don't need fancy machines to fix things. You just need to understand how they work. I learned this from my father, and he learned it from his father before him. This is another example of knowledge transfer, Varu said, his voice full of wonder. Your kind has created a continuous chain of improvement. Later in the afternoon, Oren took Varu to the edge of the forest where he had built a small irrigation system. A recent storm had damaged part of the channel. Oren studied the flow of water for a moment, then quickly gathered stones and wood to redirect it. Varu watched as Oren worked swiftly, adjusting the materials until the water flowed smoothly again. You observed, analyzed, and corrected the problem in moments, Varu said. Many intelligent species require advanced machines to do this kind of work. You used only your mind and your hands. Oren smiled faintly. Sometimes simple is best. When you've lived long enough, you learn to see solutions others might miss. Varu recorded the process carefully, speaking into his device in a strange alien language. When he finished, he turned to Oren with a serious expression. You are more than just a farmer. You represent the strength and adaptability of your entire species. Your body remains strong even as your years advance, and your mind continues to grow sharper. This combination is extremely rare in the galaxy. Oren leaned on his staff. You keep saying things like that. Are you telling me humans are unusual compared to other beings you've met? Varu nodded. Very unusual. On most worlds, physical ability and mental capacity decline sharply with age. Survival becomes difficult without the help of younger members of the group. But humans like you continue to contribute in meaningful ways, even late in life. That makes you a powerful species. Oren frowned slightly. Powerful species? That sounds like the kind of talk that brings trouble. Varu hesitated, then said, it can indeed bring trouble. There are those who fear any species that might grow too strong. If the Galactic Council learns how capable humans truly are, some members may wish to limit your growth. Oren's grip tightened on his staff. Limit our growth? What do you mean by that? Varu looked away, clearly uneasy. Some civilizations believe in controlling potential threats before they rise. They might attempt to restrict your development or study you against your will. This is why I must be careful with my research. The old farmer felt a cold weight settle in his chest. He had lived through wars and hardship, but this was a danger unlike any he had faced before. Still, he kept his voice steady. So, you're saying if the wrong people hear about me, about what humans can do, it could bring harm to us all? Yes, Varu said softly. But I am not one of them. I seek only to learn and to protect what I study. That is why I came to you directly instead of reporting to the council immediately. Oren studied Varu's face carefully. Though alien, Varu's expression held sincerity. I believe you mean well. But you must understand something, Varu. Humans don't take kindly to being controlled or studied like animals. If anyone comes here with harm in mind, they will find we're not easy prey. Varu's reflective eyes glimmered. I believe that now more than ever. Your resilience is unlike anything I have seen. It is why I chose you for my study. As evening approached, Varu asked Oren to demonstrate more of his skills. Oren showed him how to track animals by reading subtle marks in the dirt and broken branches on the forest floor. Varu tried to follow but often missed the signs until Oren pointed them out. This ability to interpret your environment is extraordinary, Varu said. You read the land as if it were a book. It comes from years of practice, Oren replied. When you live close to the earth, you learn its language. When they returned to the farmhouse, the sky was streaked with red and gold. Oren built a fire and cooked a simple meal. Varu observed the entire process, fascinated by how humans prepared food. You transform raw materials into something greater, Varu noted. It is a small act, yet it reflects a larger truth about your species. You take what the world gives you and make it better. Oren handed Varu a small piece of cooked bread. Try it. You might like it. Varu studied the bread carefully, then took a small bite. His eyes widened in surprise. The taste is complex and pleasing. This is another form of adaptation. You have learned to shape your environment to meet your needs. Oren chuckled. We've been doing that for a long time. After the meal, Varu grew quiet. He sat near the fire, staring into the flames. Finally, he spoke. I must confess something to you, Oren. When I first arrived, I expected to find a primitive species, interesting but unremarkable. Instead, I found you. You have changed my understanding of what humans are capable of. I believe your kind has the potential to rise far beyond what the Council imagines. Oren watched him carefully. Potential can be a blessing or a curse, depending on how it's handled. Varu nodded slowly. That is true. Which is why I must continue my study in secret. If I present my findings too soon, it could bring unwanted attention to your world. But there is another problem. What problem? Oren asked. Varu's voice grew tense. I have already sent small data samples to my network for backup. It is possible that someone has intercepted them. If they did, they might already suspect that something unusual exists on this planet. Oren's jaw tightened. Then we'd better be ready for visitors who won't be as friendly as you. Varu looked deeply troubled. Yes. I fear we do not have much time. Others will come, and they will not come to observe. They will come to take. The old farmer stood tall, his weathered face set with determination. Then let them come. This land is mine, and I will protect it. I've defended my home before, and I'll do it again. Varu gazed at Oren with a mixture of respect and admiration. You are a remarkable individual, Oren. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated your kind. As the night deepened, the two unlikely allies sat by the fire, planning for what lay ahead. Oren knew the days of quiet farming were over. A storm was coming, and it would test not only his strength but the very spirit of humanity. The night was calm, but beneath that calm lay a heavy sense of unease. Oren sat on his porch, staring toward the dark forest where Varu's craft was hidden. His weathered hands gripped the arms of his old wooden chair as his mind turned over the troubling words Varu had spoken the night before. Somewhere far above the stars, other beings might already know about him, about humans, and about this quiet patch of land. Varu had spent the entire day repairing his craft and scanning the sky with his advanced devices. The alien had been silent for most of the day, his reflective eyes fixed on strange glowing panels that shifted and flickered like living things. Oren had kept busy with his chores, but he noticed the tension in Varu's movements. The alien's normally smooth and graceful motions were hurried and sharp, like a man working against time. As the sun set, Varu finally emerged from the forest. His voice carried a tone Oren had not heard before. It was tight, almost urgent. Oren, we have a serious problem. I have been tracking signals from above, and I have confirmed what I feared. A patrol ship is on its way. It belongs to the Galactic Council. Oren's jaw tightened. Patrol ship? So they're coming here to check on you. Varu shook his head. No. They are not here for me. They are here for you. Oren rose slowly from his chair. Though his body carried the weight of many years, there was strength in his stance. And what do they want with me? Varu hesitated, then spoke carefully. My early reports contained traces of your genetic scans. Even though I tried to hide them, some information may have reached other channels. The Council must have seen it. They will want to capture you, study you, and determine if your species poses a threat to the balance of power. Oren's voice was steady, though his eyes were sharp. And if they decide humans are a threat? Varu looked away. They will act to contain that threat. That could mean isolation. It could mean restrictions placed on your entire planet. In extreme cases, it could mean removal of individuals they see as dangerous. For a long moment, silence hung between them. The night sounds of crickets and distant owls seemed far away, drowned by the weight of Varu's words. Finally, Oren spoke. I've lived through many kinds of trouble. Droughts, floods, wild animals, even men with bad intentions. But I've never faced anything like this. He gripped his staff tightly. If they think they can just come here and take me, they're in for a surprise. Varu moved closer, his glowing eyes full of concern. You must understand, Oren. These beings have advanced technology far beyond anything on your world. Their weapons can destroy with precision. Their machines can scan and track from great distances. You cannot fight them directly. Oren gave a small, grim smile. Maybe not directly. But I know this land better than anyone. They'll be stepping into my home, and that gives me an advantage. Varu tilted his head, curious despite the tension. You speak of strategy. You intend to resist them. I intend to protect my land and my people, Oren said firmly. If that means resisting, then yes. Varu studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. Very well. I will help you. My craft is damaged, but I have tools and knowledge that can aid in our defense. Together, perhaps we can make it difficult for the patrol to succeed. The two spent the rest of the evening planning. Varu projected a glowing map of the area into the air. It showed the farm, the surrounding fields, and the dense forest beyond. Oren pointed to the narrow paths and hidden gullies he had walked countless times over the years. Here, Oren said, pointing to a bend in the creek, they'll likely come through this path. It's the easiest way to approach without being seen. But if we block it with logs and stones, they'll have to circle around. Varu added glowing markers to the map. I can place small sensors here and here. They will alert us when the patrol is close. My devices can detect their energy signatures even if they try to hide. Oren nodded. Good. Once we know where they are, we can lead them into traps. For hours, The old farmer and the alien biologist worked side by side, planning defenses. Oren's mind was sharp and practical, while Veru's knowledge of advanced technology gave them an edge. It was an unusual partnership, but both knew their survival depended on it. By the time the first stars appeared in the sky, their preparations were nearly complete. Oren stood and stretched, his muscles aching but his spirit strong. "We'll need to rest a bit before they get here. I have a feeling it's going to be a long night." Veru looked toward the heavens, his voice low. "The patrol will arrive before dawn. We must be ready." The hours passed slowly. Oren lay awake in his small cabin, listening to the soft hum of Veru's sensors placed around the property. Outside, the night was silent. Even the animals seemed to sense the coming storm. Just before first light, a soft chime echoed through the cabin. Veru's voice was calm but urgent. "They are here." Oren rose quickly, grabbing his staff and a pack filled with supplies. Veru handed him a small alien device shaped like a curved stone. "Press this button if you are in danger. It will create a temporary shield around you." "Temporary?" Oren asked. "Only for a few moments," Veru explained. "But it may be enough to save your life." Oren slipped the device into his pocket and nodded. "Let's move." They crept out into the darkness, staying low as they moved through the trees. In the distance, a faint glow appeared in the sky. It grew brighter, then resolved into a sleek, silver craft descending silently into the forest. The patrol ship was smooth and oval-shaped, its surface reflecting the dim light like a mirror. As it landed, 3 figures emerged. They were taller than Veru, their bodies covered in dark armor. Strange weapons hung at their sides, glowing faintly with dangerous energy. Veru whispered, "These are Council enforcers. They will not hesitate to use force if they believe it necessary." Oren's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll give them reason to think twice." The patrol spread out, scanning the area with handheld devices. They moved with mechanical precision, clearly trained and experienced. As the first patrol member approached the creek, Veru tapped a small panel on his wrist. A buried sensor triggered a sudden flash of light, disorienting the alien for a split second. In that moment, Oren pushed a heavy log he had positioned earlier. It rolled down the slope, striking the alien's legs and sending him crashing into the water. The second patrol member spun around, weapon ready, but Oren had already slipped into the shadows. Using a narrow animal trail, he circled behind them. Veru provided distractions with bursts of light and sound from his devices, drawing their attention away. For several tense minutes, the forest was alive with movement and confusion. The patrol members called out in their strange language, their voices sharp and urgent. Oren used the terrain to his advantage, leading them deeper into the woods where the ground was uneven and full of hidden pits. At one point, a patrol member nearly cornered Oren. The alien raised his weapon, but Oren pressed the shield device Veru had given him. A shimmering barrier appeared just in time, deflecting a blast of energy. The force of the impact knocked Oren backward, but he rolled to his feet and disappeared into the trees. Veru's voice crackled through a small communicator. "Oren, fall back to the clearing near the old oak tree. I have a plan." Oren sprinted through the forest, his breath steady despite the chase. When he reached the clearing, Veru was waiting with a small, glowing sphere. "When they step into this area, I will activate the sphere. It will create a field that disrupts their equipment." Moments later, the remaining patrol members burst into the clearing. Veru pressed a button, and the sphere pulsed with a bright blue light. The aliens' weapons flickered and went dark. Their scanning devices shut down. Confused, they stumbled backward. Now, Varro said urgently. Oren charged forward with a fierce determination. Using his staff, he struck one patrol member's leg, sweeping it out from under him. The other tried to retreat, but Varro used a small beam of light to blind him temporarily. Oren tackled the alien to the ground and pinned him there. For a brief moment, the clearing fell silent except for the heavy breathing of man and alien alike. Varro approached cautiously. We must let them retreat now. If we harm them further, the Council will send even more forces. Oren rose slowly, releasing the alien but keeping his staff ready. The patrol members scrambled to their feet and staggered back toward their ship. Varro deactivated the disruption sphere, allowing their equipment to function again. The patrol leader turned once, his expression unreadable behind his dark visor. Then, without a word, he followed the others into the ship. The craft lifted silently into the sky and disappeared into the clouds. Oren exhaled deeply, his body weary but unbroken. They'll be back, he said quietly. Varro nodded. Yes. And next time, they will come with greater numbers. The old farmer looked out over his land, his jaw set with determination. Then we'll be ready for them. Varro placed a hand on Oren's shoulder. You fought with courage and skill tonight. You have shown them that humans are not to be underestimated. But this is only the beginning. As dawn broke, the two allies stood together, watching the first light of day spread across the fields. Oren knew the quiet life he had once lived was gone. The galaxy had taken notice of him, and of humanity. Now, he would have to fight not just for his farm, but for the future of his entire species. The sun was barely above the horizon when Oren walked across his land, scanning the fields and the forest beyond. His body ached from the fight the night before, but he ignored the pain. Years of hard labor had taught him to push through discomfort and keep moving. Beside him, Varro floated silently, his alien eyes glowing with quiet concern. They will come back, Varro said, his voice steady but tense. The patrol has reported what happened here. The Council will not let this stand. They will send more soldiers with stronger weapons. Oren nodded grimly. I figured as much. That first group was just testing us, seeing what we could do. Next time they will come ready for a real fight. Varro adjusted a device on his wrist, projecting a map of the area into the air. It shimmered like mist, showing the fields, the farmhouse, and the thick forest. We must prepare more defenses, Varro said. The forest is our best advantage. If we can draw them into the trees, their advanced weapons will be harder to use. Their craft will not be able to maneuver well in the dense terrain. Oren studied the map carefully. I know every inch of these woods. There are ravines, fallen logs, and places where the ground is soft and treacherous. If we guide them along the right paths, we can slow them down and keep them guessing. Varro looked impressed. Your knowledge of this land is invaluable. With my devices and your experience, we can create a strong defense. For the rest of the morning, the two worked tirelessly. Oren gathered heavy logs and sharp branches, placing them in hidden locations where they could be rolled into paths or used as traps. Varro planted small sensors throughout the forest, each one designed to send signals back to his wrist device. When triggered, the sensors would alert them to the patrol's movements. By midday, sweat dripped down Oren's face, and his shirt clung to his back. Despite his age, he moved with determination and strength. Varro occasionally paused to watch him, fascinated by the old man's endurance. You continue to surprise me, Varro said. Even after hours of labor, you do not slow down. Oren chuckled softly. I've been doing this kind of work my whole life. A hard day's effort never killed me before, and it won't today. Varun tilted his head thoughtfully. This is what makes your species remarkable. Many beings I have studied would have collapsed by now. But you endure. As the day wore on, they set up their final trap near a clearing deep in the forest. Oren explained his plan carefully. When they enter this clearing, they'll think they've cornered us. But in reality, they'll be surrounded. I'll strike from the left, you'll strike from the right, and the traps will spring from behind them. Varun considered this, then added, I will also deploy a field disruptor. It will interfere with their communication devices and make their weapons unstable. It won't last long, but it will give us an advantage. By the time the sun began to set, their preparations were complete. Oren stood at the edge of the forest, staring up at the darkening sky. They'll come tonight, he said quietly. I can feel it. Varun agreed. Yes. The council prefers to strike under cover of darkness. They believe it gives them the upper hand. Oren's grip tightened on his staff. We'll show them they're wrong. The night air was cool and still. The only sounds were the distant calls of night birds and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Oren crouched behind a thick tree trunk, his eyes scanning the forest floor. Varun floated beside him, silent as a shadow. Suddenly, one of Varun's sensors emitted a faint pulse of light. Varun checked his wrist device and whispered, they are here. 4 incoming soldiers, moving in formation. Their craft is hovering just beyond the tree line. Oren's jaw tightened. This is it. Stay ready. Moments later, a silver glow appeared between the trees. The patrol ship descended silently, its sleek surface reflecting the moonlight. A hatch opened, and 4 armored figures stepped out. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical. Each carried a weapon that glimmered with dangerous energy. The soldiers spread out, scanning the area. Their strange alien voices echoed softly as they communicated with each other. Varun whispered, they are using advanced scanners. But my disruptors will mask our heat signatures for now. The patrol advanced deeper into the forest, unaware of the traps waiting for them. Oren moved silently through the shadows, guiding Varun to a higher vantage point. The old man's breathing was steady and controlled, honed by years of hunting and tracking. The first trap was triggered when the lead soldier stepped onto a patch of soft ground disguised with leaves. The earth gave way beneath his feet, sending him tumbling into a deep pit lined with sharpened branches. His weapon flew from his hand and clattered to the ground. The other 3 soldiers whirled around in surprise, raising their weapons. Before they could react, Varun activated a hidden device. A burst of blinding light filled the area, disorienting the aliens. Oren seized the moment. He swung his heavy staff with all his strength, striking one soldier's arm and knocking the weapon away. The alien staggered backward, stunned by the force of the blow. The remaining 2 soldiers opened fire, blasts of energy searing through the night air. Oren dove behind a fallen log, the heat of the blast singing the bark just inches from his head. Varun floated above, deploying a shimmering barrier that absorbed several shots before flickering dangerously. They are adapting quickly, Varun warned. We must act now before they regain full control. Oren nodded and signaled to Varun. Together, they lured the soldiers deeper into the forest. As the aliens pursued, more traps were triggered. Heavy logs swung down from ropes, slamming into 2 of the soldiers and knocking them to the ground. Another trap released a cloud of thick smoke, obscuring vision and throwing the enemy into confusion. In the chaos, Oren moved like a ghost, striking swiftly and disappearing before the aliens could retaliate. His knowledge of the terrain allowed him to appear and vanish at will, keeping the enemy off balance. Varu used his advanced tools to disable weapons and disrupt communications. His small drones darted through the trees, emitting high-pitched sounds that scrambled the aliens' sensors. Finally, the remaining soldiers stumbled into the final clearing. They looked around in confusion, realizing too late that they were surrounded. Now, Oren whispered. Varu activated the field disruptor. A pulse of energy radiated outward, causing the aliens' weapons to flicker and shut down. At the same moment, Oren charged from the left while Varu attacked from the right. Oren swung his staff with precision, striking one soldier's legs and sending him crashing to the ground. Varu used a focused energy beam to disarm another soldier. The remaining two tried to fight hand to hand, but Oren's raw strength and years of experience gave him the upper hand. The battle was fierce but brief. Within minutes, all 4 soldiers were defeated. They lay on the ground, their armor dented and their weapons useless. Breathing heavily, Oren stood tall, his chest heaving from exertion. "That should send a message," he said. Varu floated beside him, scanning the area. "It will, but not the message we want. The Council will see this as defiance. They will not stop here." Oren frowned. "Then we need to make sure they think twice before coming back." Varu hesitated. "There is a way. If we capture their ship instead of destroying it, we can send a false signal. The Council will believe the patrol was lost to natural causes rather than an attack." Oren's eyes lit with determination. "Let's do it." Together, they approached the hovering craft. Varu used his wrist device to hack into the ship's systems. With a few quick commands, the hatch opened. Inside, the ship was filled with strange glowing panels and smooth, curved surfaces. "Stay close," Varu instructed. "If we are detected, the ship will self-destruct." Oren followed carefully as Varu worked. After several tense moments, Varu smiled faintly. "It is done. The ship will return to the Council and report a false malfunction. They will think the patrol was lost in a natural accident." Oren exhaled in relief. "Good. That buys us some time." Varu nodded. "Yes, but only a little. Eventually, they will send someone smarter, someone who will question the report." Oren looked out at the forest, now quiet once more. The bodies of the defeated soldiers shimmered as Varu activated a device to dissolve them into harmless particles. "They'll come again," Oren said quietly. "And when they do, we'll be ready." Varu placed a hand on Oren's shoulder. "You have done more tonight than most beings could ever dream of. You defended your home against forces far more advanced than you. You have proven that humanity is strong." Oren met Varu's gaze. "I didn't do it alone. We fought together." As dawn broke, the two allies emerged from the forest. The fields stretched before them, bathed in golden light. Though victory had been won, both knew the war was far from over. Somewhere among the stars, the Galactic Council would be watching. And somewhere deep inside, Oren felt a fire awaken. The fight was no longer just about his land or his family. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity would never bow, never break, and never be taken without a fight. The forest was silent in the early morning light. A cool mist drifted between the trees, carrying the smell of damp earth and crushed leaves. Oren stood at the edge of the clearing, his hands resting on the rough wood of his staff. His body was sore from the long night, but he stood straight and strong. Beside him floated Varu, his alien form glowing faintly in the pale sunlight. The battle was over, but the fight for the future was only beginning. Oren's eyes followed the path where the enemy patrol ship had vanished into the sky hours earlier. The false signal Varu had sent would buy them time, but Oren knew it would not last forever. The Galactic Council was powerful, and they would not accept defeat so easily. "They will come back," Oren said quietly, breaking the silence. His voice was calm but firm. "And next time, they will not underestimate us." Varu nodded, his strange features unreadable. "Yes. The council will study the false report, but some of their leaders will have doubts. When they realize the truth, they will send more soldiers, stronger and smarter. They may even send commanders with authority to take entire regions by force." Oren gripped his staff tightly. "Then we need to make a choice. We can either keep hiding or we can send them a message so strong they will think twice before setting foot on this planet again." Varu turned his glowing eyes toward Oren. "There is another way. We could try to speak to them. Not through battle, but through proof. If I can reach the council and show them what you are, what humanity is capable of, they might decide to leave Earth alone." Oren frowned. "You really think words will stop them? They came here ready to take me away like some prize animal." Varu's voice softened. "Not all of them are like that. The council is divided. Some fear humans, others see your kind as allies. But they all need evidence. If they witness your strength, your wisdom, and your will to survive, they may reconsider." Oren considered this. He had always been a man of action, but he understood the power of words. "So what do we do?" "I'm not much of a talker, Varu." "You do not need to speak their language," Varu said. "I will speak for you. But I need to show them what I have seen. I need to show them you defeating their soldiers, defending your home with nothing but your strength and knowledge. They must see that humans are not a threat to be crushed, but a people worth respecting." Oren nodded slowly. "If that's the path you think will work, I'll trust you. You've stood by me so far." Varu floated closer. "I have learned much from you, Oren. When I first arrived, I saw only a subject to study. But now I see a leader, a protector, and a symbol of what humanity truly is." Oren gave a small, humble smile. "I'm just an old farmer trying to keep my land safe." "And yet," Varu said, "you have done what no one else could. That is why I believe the council must see you." The next few days were filled with preparation. Varu worked tirelessly to edit the recordings he had made of Oren's battles. The footage showed the traps, the strategies, and the moments when Oren's courage turned the tide. It also included scenes of Oren working his land, teaching Varu about human ways, and speaking about family and survival. Meanwhile, Oren repaired the damage to his farm. Though tired, he worked steadily, his hands moving with practiced skill. Each fence he rebuilt and each tool he mended reminded him why he fought so fiercely. His land was more than soil and wood. It was the heart of his family's legacy. At night, Oren and Varu sat by the fire. Varu often asked questions about human life. He was fascinated by Oren's stories of raising children, facing harsh winters, and finding joy in simple things like a warm meal or a good harvest. "Your people have something rare," Varu said one evening. "You grow stronger through hardship. Many species weaken under struggle, but humans seem to rise from it with greater determination." Oren stirred the fire with a stick. "Struggle is part of living. If you don't fight for what you care about, you'll lose it. My father taught me that, and I taught it to my children." Varu tilted his head thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why the council fears you. They cannot understand a people who refuse to surrender. On the fourth day, Varro completed his message to the Galactic Council. He floated beside Orin, holding a small sphere that glowed with shifting colors. This will transmit directly to the Council's chamber, Varro explained. Once sent, there is no turning back. They will hear my words and see what I have recorded. Orin crossed his arms. And if they don't like what they see? Varro hesitated. Then they may come with full force. But I believe they will choose another path. Deep down, even those who fear humans must respect strength. Orin gave a firm nod. Do it. Varro pressed his hand to the sphere. A beam of light shot upward, disappearing into the sky. The message had been sent. Now, they waited. Hours turned into a full day. The sun set, and darkness blanketed the land once more. Orin and Varro remained vigilant, unsure of what would come. Finally, late that night, the sky lit up with a shimmering glow. A massive ship descended silently, far larger than any Orin had seen before. It hovered above the forest, its presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Varro floated forward, his voice low. That is a council vessel. It means they have come to speak, not to attack. The ship opened a hatch, and 3 beings emerged. They were tall and elegant, with robes that glimmered like starlight. Unlike the soldiers, these were leaders, members of the council itself. Orin stood tall as they approached, his staff in hand. He felt no fear, only determination. One of the counselors spoke, their voice smooth and commanding. We have received your message, Varro. You claim this human represents the strength of his species. We are here to see for ourselves. Varro bowed slightly. Thank you for coming. Watch, and you will understand. Varro activated a small device, projecting the recordings into the air. The counselors watched silently as images of Orin appeared. They saw him working his land, teaching Varro about life on Earth, and finally battling their soldiers with courage and cunning. When the footage ended, the clearing was silent. The counselors exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. At last, the leader spoke. This human is remarkable. Few beings could achieve such feats without advanced technology. Varro floated closer. And he is only one man. Imagine an entire species with such potential. You fear them because you do not understand them. But they do not seek conquest. They seek only to live free and protect their families. The leader considered Varro's words carefully. The council has long debated the future of Earth. Some believe humans must be controlled before they become dangerous. Others see them as allies. This display proves one thing beyond doubt: humans are not weak. Orin stepped forward. Though he could not understand their language, his posture and gaze spoke clearly. He would not bow to anyone. The leader raised a hand. Very well. The council will not interfere with this world. Earth will remain free. But we will continue to watch. If humans threaten the balance of the galaxy, we will act. Varro bowed again. That is all we ask. Let them grow in peace. The counselors turned and returned to their ship. Moments later, the massive vessel rose into the sky and vanished among the stars. Orin exhaled slowly, his shoulders relaxing. Did they understand? He asked. Varro's eyes glowed warmly. Yes. For now, they will leave Earth alone. Your fight, your courage, it changed their minds. Orin looked out at his fields, the first light of dawn touching the soil. Good. I've had enough of outsiders trying to take what's mine. Varu hovered beside him. There is one thing you should know. The words I spoke before, about you passing on your strength, they were true. You have shown me that the future of your kind lies in the lessons you teach. Your children and grandchildren will carry your spirit forward. Oren smiled faintly. They already do. Everything I built, everything I've fought for, it's for them. Varu's voice was filled with respect. Then your legacy is secure. No matter what the galaxy thinks, humanity will endure. As the sun rose higher, Varu prepared to leave. His mission was complete, but his bond with Oren remained. Will you return to your people? Oren asked. Varu hesitated. Perhaps one day. But for now, I will stay close, watching silently. If danger comes again, I will be here. Oren extended his hand. Varu studied it for a moment, then reached out with a strange limb, grasping it firmly. Take care of yourself, Varu, Oren said. And thank you. As Varu drifted away into the morning sky, Oren returned to his work. He tended his land with the same steady hands that had faced alien soldiers and defended the future of his world. Somewhere in the vastness of space, whispers spread of a small, stubborn world and an old man whose strength had made even the Galactic Council pause.